Somewhere in Pennsylvania, the ground is warm to the touch. Not because it's summer, not because of anything you can explain. The earth itself has been burning for 62 years. This is Centralia, a town with 5 residents, a church that still holds services, and a fire beneath the streets that will burn for another 250 years. Welcome to Night Shift Stories. Tonight, we visit America's quietest apocalypse. Imagine waking up one morning and your backyard is smoking. Not burning to smoking. Heat rising from soil where your children play. Imagine the government telling you to leave your home. Your neighbors do. One by one, the houses come down. But you stay. You stay because this is your home. You stay because you've been here your whole life. You stay because where else would you go? 5 people made that choice. 5 people who will stay until they die. And then their homes will belong to the state. Centralia sits in the anthracite coal region of Pennsylvania. For over a century, mining was life here. Tunnels ran beneath every street, every home, every church. In 1962, the town decided to clean up an old dump site near the cemetery. The solution seemed simple enough: burn the trash. But this dump sat in an abandoned strip mine. And that strip mine connected to something no one considered. The coal seams running beneath the entire town. The fire didn't stay in the dump. It found its way underground. It found the coal. And once it did, there was no stopping it. The underground fire has been burning continuously since 1962. That's over 60 years, and scientists estimate it will continue for another 250 more. The fire burns at depths of up to 300 feet. It stretches across 8 miles. It's consuming 3,700 acres of coal seams. In 1980, Centralia had a population of about 1,000 people. Families, businesses, a community. All of that would change. The first real warning came in 1981. A 12-year-old boy named Todd Domboski was walking through his grandmother's backyard when the ground opened beneath him. He fell 4 feet into a hole that dropped away beneath him for 150 more. He caught a tree root. His cousin pulled him out. Tests of the air in that hole showed lethal levels of carbon monoxide. If Todd had fallen all the way, or if he'd inhaled too deeply, he'd have died within minutes. In 1984, Congress allocated $42 million to relocate the residents of Centralia. The federal government was telling an entire town to leave. Most people took the money. They had to. The alternative was staying in a home that might sink into the earth at any moment. The buyouts continued through the 1980s. Families packed up generations of memories. Houses that had stood for a century were torn down. In 1992, Pennsylvania claimed eminent domain over all properties in Centralia. Every single building, every single lot, all of it now belonged to the state, but not everyone left. A handful of residents refused to go. They filed lawsuits, they fought back, and eventually, they won a compromise. In 2002, the U.S. Postal Service revoked Centralia's zip code. The town of 17927 officially ceased to exist in the eyes of the mail system. On October 29, 2013, the final agreement was reached. The remaining 7 residents could stay in their homes for the rest of their lives. But there was a condition. When they die, their properties transfer to the state through eminent domain. Their homes will be demolished. The land reclaimed. As of 2025, 5 residents remain. 5 people in a town that once held 1,000. That's a 99.5% decline. The street grid still exists. The roads are still paved, cracked and heaved, but paved. Street signs point to neighborhoods that no longer exist. Walking through Centralia is like walking through a memory. Here's where the hardware store was. Here's where the school stood. Here's where children used to play. St. Mary's Church still stands. Every week it holds services. People drive in from surrounding towns just to attend Mass in a church that refuses to die. The faithful still gather. They sing hymns while the ground beneath them burns. There's something almost biblical about it. Faith persisting through fire. For years, the town's most famous attraction was the Graffiti Highway. Route 61, abandoned and buried under layers of spray paint and messages. People came from everywhere to walk the highway, to add their names to the layers, to see the smoke rising from cracks in the road. In 2020, the landowners buried it. Dump trucks covered the Graffiti Highway under tons of dirt to stop the trespassing. The folk art is gone. Some mourned it as the loss of something meaningful. Others said it was never anything but vandalism. Either way, it's buried now. Like so much else in Centralia, the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection has a warning program called Stay Out, Stay Alive. They officially discourage anyone from visiting Centralia. The dangers are real. Sinkholes can open without warning. Toxic gases, carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, seep through the soil. The ground itself can be unstable. A surface that looks solid might be inches away from collapse. Every step is a small gamble. You might recognize something about Centralia. If you've played the video game Silent Hill or seen the film, you've seen a version of this place. The fog, the ash, the empty streets. The creators were inspired by this real place. A town consumed by something beneath. A town where the line between reality and nightmare has blurred beyond recognition. But this isn't fiction. This is real. Real people lived here. Real people still do. Think about what that means. Choosing to spend your final years in a place the government has condemned, where the ground might open beneath you at any moment. They must love this place deeply. Or maybe it's simpler than that. Maybe home is just home. No matter what burns beneath it, the fire continues to spread. It moves through the coal seams about 75 feet per year, slow, relentless, unstoppable. There is no way to put it out. They've tried. Trenching, flooding, all of it failed. The coal seams are too deep, too extensive. The fire simply goes around. So the fire burns. It will burn after the last resident dies. It will burn after their homes are demolished. It will burn into the next century. And the one after that. There's something almost peaceful about it now. The violence of the early years has given way to a slow, quiet consumption. The earth taking back what was taken from it. If you're drawn to places like this, you might consider visiting. But the official recommendation is to stay away. The Pennsylvania DEP isn't being dramatic. If you do go, and people do, watch where you step. Stay on established paths. Don't linger in areas where you see steam. Those gases aren't visible, but they're there. St. Mary's Church still welcomes visitors. Services are held weekly. There's something profound about praying in a place like this. If that speaks to you, the remaining residents don't want visitors knocking on their doors. They've been through enough. If you go, respect their privacy. This is still their home. If this story stayed with you, that's what we do here. Stories from the edge of things. Subscribe if you want more. We'll see you next time. What happens to a place when everyone leaves? When the mail stops coming? When the zip code itself is erased? It doesn't disappear. It transforms. The land remains. The roads remain. The fire remains. Only the people are gone. The cemetery still holds Centralia's dead. Headstones marking generations of coal miners and their families. The ground beneath them is warm to the touch. They're buried above a fire that will outlast everyone who remembers them. In 100 years, who will visit? In 200, will anyone know they were here? The estimated cost to fully extinguish the fire was $660 million in 1983. Today, adjusted for inflation, it would be over $2 billion. So instead, nothing. Let it burn. Move the people. Forget the town existed. That was the solution. But the 5 who remain haven't forgotten. Every morning they wake up in Centralia. Every night they sleep above the fire. This is their choice. This is their defiance. They've seen their neighbors leave. They've watched the bulldozers come for the empty houses. They've attended fewer funerals each year because fewer people remain. 7 became 5. 5 will become fewer. And one day, maybe years from now, maybe decades, the last resident of Centralia will die. And then, the state will finally have its empty town above a fire that will burn for another 2 centuries. Victory by attrition. Centralia doesn't ask for pity. It doesn't need it. It's not dying. It died a long time ago. What's left is something else. A monument. A warning. A slow motion haunting. The earth is patient. It's been burning for 62 years. It'll burn for 250 more. Long after we've forgotten this place ever existed, somewhere beneath Centralia, the coal still burns. The fire doesn't care who's watching. It doesn't care who's left. It just burns. This has been Night Shift Stories. Sleep well, if you can.